everyone, I have been doing a lot of books videos. Today I'm gonna share with you how to start reading fictions. I know some people might not think that reading fiction is that beneficial, but I do think that with reading fiction it helps with your creativity, it helps expand your mind, and the most important thing is it makes you happy. And that brings to the first point, which is to start with books that has already been made into a movie. These are some of the movies that are based on books. If you find that you like any of these movies, you would probably enjoy reading the books as well. I know it sounds redundant and counterproductive to read books for movies that you have already watched, but hear me out. This is important if you are in the beginning of your journey in reading fictions. A lot of people also struggle in terms of imagining what is happening in the book, and to get to that point it really helps if you already have a depiction of a character before you then go into reading the book, so that it helps in you understanding the books better, understanding the character better. It also saves you the time of creating your own person based on these little bits of descriptions in the books. Movies are only about 1.5 hours or 2 hours, so there's a lot in the books that cannot be made into a movie, so you get to expand the story from the movie as well. If you are reading the book version, a lot of the times there are backstories of characters that is cut out from the original version of the movies, and also you might get more point of views in the books. The second point is to start from the young adult section. Up to this point, I do enjoy a lot of young adult romance and young adult fiction. Even though you are well into your 30s, 40s, 50s, I think starting with something simple could really help your journey in reading. Don't start with something that is too complicated, like a historical fiction that has a lot of dates, a lot of names that are similar. Start with something as simple as rom-com books. You can slowly work your way to something more complex, like reading a fantasy book after you have graduated from high school romance, college romance, workplace romance. I think that gradually work your way to something more difficult is the way to go. Another important thing is to also choose the language that you prefer reading. Not everyone likes to read English, and not everyone's first language is English. My first language is Malay, but I much prefer the reading materials that are in English. Not that I don't enjoy reading books in Malay, it is mainly because of my lack of exposure in the Malay reading materials, and also the geographical location of me right now being in Dubai. Read in the form that you like, in the language that you like. That could really help nurture that reading habit. Slowly it will build into your love for fiction. The next thing that comes with the existence of social media is the BookTok community. Some are talking more about thriller and mystery, some talks more about fantasy and romance, and some likes to talk about books by people of colors. So there are a lot of communities formed. Most of the time it is accessible to everyone. My tip is to find a creator that you relate with, and the way to find that out is to take one recommendation from that person and see if you like the book. If you end up liking that book that they recommend, then you would probably like other things that they recommend on their channel as well. So that's how I go about it as well. If enough people like the book that they feel the need to form a community around that, it's probably a good reason for you to start that book. But if you ended up not liking that book, it's okay. People do have different preferences in all aspects of life, so it's not uncommon for you to not like the in book or the book that are mainstream right now. I think the most important thing is to not be a snob when it comes to books. Some books that you might not like might have a separate target audience that you might not be a part of. The next thing is to explore fan arts of books. I discovered this group of people who love making art from books that they have read. It opens me up to a whole group of people who are super talented, mainly from the fantasy genre that I've read. I admit that it's hard sometimes to imagine something that has never happened in real life, so it really helps for you to complete your vision in building that world based on this book that you read. These are some of the illustrations that I love from the ACOTAR series, some of the characters that I could not have imagined them to look like this if it weren't for these talented people who made the arts. It really expands your imaginations, and I find that fantasy books really help you to exercise your brain. It really is a workout for your brain to try and create an entire world, like an entire movie in your mind. And the last tip that I'm gonna share with you today is to choose books based on the theme that you like. There's nothing more disappointing than reading a book about something or some values that you don't relate to, and the way to do that before spoiling yourself further is probably to check out Goodreads. There's this website that house a lot of communities of people, house a lot of reviews from people, so from there you might get like a synopsis of the book, sometimes trigger warnings if there are experiences in your life that you want to avoid reading in books. Sometimes even though you love reading certain genre, it could be overwhelming if you continue reading that genre alone. For example, like me, I love reading ACOTAR, but sometimes I do feel like I need a break in between books, so that could sort of reset my brain to not be in a reading slump. Choosing what you need right now is also important. If you need a break, choose a book that is out of your comfort zone, a different genre, explore different tropes, and perhaps you might find something that you really like on top of the things that you've already loved. That's it for today, guys. I hope this video was helpful for you to get into reading fictions. You subscribe to my channel and stay tuned to more videos that I'm gonna put up throughout this year. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!
Be my lady, oh na na, reading all the signs, ooh la la, I hear your lullaby, oh na na, and all these butterflies won't give up, 'cause you're the one, the one.